Hey there, kiddos, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank, but that you are having a great day. And in today's video, I'm going to be sitting back in my kind of squeaky chair, relaxing and having a little conversation with all of you guys about the Pokemon trading card game and the bear market and the different ways in which the bear market affects different kinds of products. Because, yeah, when it comes to market shifts and market trends, not all products are created equal. And there's a nuanced reason for that, but it's very simple. There are some things that people want more than others. Now, here in front of me, I have two very different kinds of products. I've got this Perfect Order booster box, which is what I'd like to call a primary product, and this much larger, takes up the entire screen, Cynthia's Garchomp EX Premium Collection, which is what I like to call an ancillary product. Now, these are both all well and good right now, when the bull market is in full swing, even like it was for most of the last year. You'll find that both of these, in almost equal measure, God, it's so big. I could just have the entire video just be me talking behind this thing. You guys would never know what I'm saying, right? When the market is hyped, when there's a lot of bullishness, when there's a lot of money flowing into the Pokemon world, you'll find that just about any product has an equal opportunity to drastically rise in price. And that's partially because, well, people are just kind of willing to get a hold of anything they can, honestly, as booster boxes rise out of affordability for some people. They turn to the ostensibly cheaper products like ETBs, tins, premium collections, etc. And that can lead to a false sense of security almost for the investor minded people, as they, especially the newer ones, I should say, as they might enter a market shift thinking that this same trend can hold true even as the bear market takes hold and as spending habits change. But you see, it's not really the same in a bear market. You see, part of the power that a lot of ancillary products have, and a lot of side products in general have, is that people are just kind of looking to get a hold of whatever they can when the bull market's in full swing. Whereas in a bear market, there's a lot more opportunity. There's a lot more choice because there's a lot less competition from the buyer's side of things. So things do lose price across the board, but not equal. I shouldn't say they lose price. They don't lose value. It's that their upward momentum slows down drastically. Yes, there are some price swings, 10% losses, but it's not like they're going down in perpetuity. It's just that they are no longer moving upwards as fast as they once were. And yeah, in a bear market, people become much more picky. They are no longer in the grab anything mode because they don't need to be in the grab anything mode. When the chips are down, and the market is in a sluggish slowdown nature, there is a lot more on the shelf, quite literally and metaphorically. There's a lot more to choose from. And so bear markets will tend to see long-term, what's the word, diamond hands type investors typically targeting the most liquid items that they can, and that is the traditional main product, the booster boxes. And there's a good reason for that. You know, everybody understands that in the long term, Pokemon booster boxes are a good thing to have. This video is just about Pokemon, by the way. Okay? Everyone kind of understands that long-term Pokemon booster boxes are good. Partially because of the very low price per pack value for the booster boxes. All right. They have extremely high liquidity as a result. Even in weaker markets, people are pretty much always looking to pick up and move around solid booster boxes, almost regardless of the set. Yes, sometimes, especially for sets like Steam Siege or Team Up, there's a bit of a hassle almost to get those boxes to move, but they do move sooner or later at some price point. Meanwhile, ancillary products, again, things like the Cynthia's Garchomp collection, which, again, I could just have this be the entire video. Look at that. They have a much harder time. They struggle more to move, both upwards and hand to hand. And part of that is what they have to offer isn't what people are looking for. In a bearish market, people are looking to build up positions, the long-term people, I should say. People are looking to build up positions on the best price per pack ratio that they can get. And ancillary products do not provide that in a bear market. Well, period, I should say. But in a bear market, it's more apparent. They have things like dice, accessories. This one has these like little, you guys have seen them a dozen times now, but these little plastic standees. And that's really cool. I really like these as an item, but if you're just looking to get the most amount of packs, this thing has just 6 booster packs in it. That's awful for the price point that these are at. If you're just looking for a pure booster pack per price ratio, right? So those accessories, the promo cards, are less desirable, especially as the weaker market in general takes hold. Promo cards are much weaker in general, especially the easier to get ones. So those things become less desirable versus just the raw pack number of the boxes. So that higher cost per pack ratio that the ancillary products like premium collections offer, that really works against them in a market slowdown. Let's just a good example. Let's talk about just a few years ago where you could buy what's a good example? Some pin collections from Pokemon Go. Okay, I think they were selling 15. 15 was pretty average. I could get some just a bit cheaper than that. But you can get some pin collections or a box. You could buy a box for $90, or you could buy 6 pin collections. You're almost always going to choose the box just for the pack ratio, okay? And that is generally accepted as a smart choice, especially if you're in it for the long haul, because you want more packs for the long haul. Now, there is exceptions to this. The big one I always like to bring up is the Pokemon Center ETBs, which tend to do solid, or I believe they will tend to do solid in the future, in future bear markets, because of their limited nature. There is definitely an understanding, I think, in the Pokemon community now that while ETBs might become vastly more accessible in a market turnaround, that might not be the same for the PC ETBs. So those, I believe, and their unique promos might still be fairly desirable compared to everything else in the market shift. Now, this brings us to the turnaround, all right, which is, or I should say the plan for the turnaround, because once you're in the bear market, you are not planning for a bear market anymore. You don't plan for the bear market. Once the bear market hits, and once prices become sluggish and things become much easier to get, you shouldn't be thinking, I should say, of what products you're going to pick up and try to flip now. A lot of the long-term people are thinking what things they can grab now and flip in a few years when the markets shift again in the turnabout, whatever it's called. And obviously, price per pack ratio, there is absolutely nothing wrong with going into the bear market with the mindset of grab as many booster boxes and booster packs as you can. Very loud motorcycle zipping by somewhere. No, I think that's a drone. No, that's a motorcycle. Okay, anyway. Back to the lesson. Obviously you can go into it with the mindset of grabbing as many packs as you can, just because once the turnaround starts, huge return on your investment right there. But there's also the mindset of understanding that things will rise regardless of what they are. And for some things, you'll have a longer chance to get them for cheap. You see, when the shift from bear to bull markets happens, boxes will recover much faster in terms of their overall price points and their upward price momentum. They will recover much faster than the ancillary products. In fact, in a bull market, ancillary products rise Not exclusively, but largely because people are looking to get a hold of whatever they can once the regular booster boxes become harder and harder and harder to acquire. This leads to situations where some ancillary products are much more expensive than they realistically should be, looking at some of UETBs out there, based on the number of packs in them, but it is what it is, you know? Now, that does provide an opportunity if you're looking to, and you have the space for, a lot of these side products. They're cheaper for longer. Not forever, obviously, that's not what I'm saying, but side products, especially as the shift happens from bear to bull, they're cheaper for longer. They have a slower recovery time, which means there's more time to stock up on good side products, I should clarify, versus the versus some of the duds. I don't get why poster collections have been the big thing lately, but I'm not a big fan of those. It is what it is, though, you know? Now, obviously there's hang-ups, there's things to understand. The big one, of course, is that it's going to take you longer to move them, regardless of the kind of market you're in. Obviously, something cumbersome like this is going to take up way more space on your shelf. I mean, I could fit like 4 of these in the same shelf space one of these will take up. No, probably. Fit 6 of these in the same shelf space one of these would take up. That's wild. And this has, again, 6 packs versus, is this still 32 or is it 24? I'm sure it says it on the box somewhere, but it's not immediately becoming apparent. Nope, it's 36 still. That's great. So, obviously, there's a lot to take into consideration. Pros and cons for everything. Much faster recovery time. Longer opportunity to get the stuff you want. So those are things to consider. And I can say that all of this with confidence, okay? With as many loud vehicles zipping by as possible. I can say all of this with confidence because we have been through this before. There have been several Pokemon market shifts in the last 10 years alone, where we've seen almost the exact same pattern of rise and fall and speed up and slow down of upwards momentum. And almost every single time so far, at least I can say with some confidence at least, we've seen the boxes rise fast in the recovery, trailed by the side products. And that gives people a bit of an opportunity to grab side products for cheap as boxes become slightly more unaffordable. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, again, the space issue, the slow sales issue are all things to consider, but I think when the time comes and when the Pokemon market shifts back to booming instead of busting, you'll be glad if you do spend some time and some money on acquiring things that are currently undesirable, but might possibly turn around when the market sees its turnaround. So that's all I got to talk about today, Clitos. Please like Clitos. Clitos? Kaleidoscopes. Man, I have all kinds of tongue-tied today. Anyway, that's all I got for you kiddos today. Please like, share, subscribe. Check out the various links, TCG Player, eBay, Discord, and Patreon. Those are all in the description below. And, of course, leave a comment. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I'm always curious to hear you guys' thoughts. And once again, check out this giant-ass collection. It's huge. It takes up the entire screen. It's wild. It's crazy.